Hello and welcome to Pot of the Dead, oh no, see, screwed it up. Hello and welcome to Pot of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your host Nicholas, and with me as always are the two final girls, Stephanie
Hello.
and Natasha.
Hi. On today's episode, we are going to review The Ritual from 2017, which is a British supernatural folk horror film directed by David Bruckner and written by Joe Barton. It's based on the 2011 novel of the same name by Adam Neville. The film stars Rafe Spall, Arshur Ali, Robert James Collier, and Sam Troughton as four friends on a hiking trip through the Swedish old-growth forest where they encounter an ancient evil presence.
Now, before we get into all that stuff, you brought up that this is a film by director David Bruckner. We have covered David Bruckner on this podcast before. To give a little backstory on some of the films that he's done, he did The Night House.
Okay.
Oh, I knew his name sounded familiar.
Yep. He also did the 2022 Hellraiser. He's done segments for the VHS franchise and Southbound, and he also directed 2 episodes of the Creep Show television series on Shudder. So going into this week's homework, what's your girl's history on this film, of any?
None.
None whatsoever?
0.
Never
I
heard
think
of
we
it?
all thought it was a different movie.
That is true. We definitely thought it was a completely different movie. The name was very similar. So yeah, no, I never even heard of this. I mean, I'd heard of a movie that sounds similar to this, but I never heard of this movie and I
So
didn't know anything.
what film did you girls think this was?
I thought it was this religious one that's out. And I don't know why. There's a movie that's out similar that's got a similar name to this. And
Well, there's
that
another
was-
one called The Ritual, and I think it was like a crime movie or something like that.
Yeah.
But there were different options when you Googled it at first.
Yeah.
So even when I went to go watch it last week, I was like, okay, so it's the one about the Swedish forest, right?
Yeah, I came across this right around the time that it came out, and I'm not 100% sure how. Obviously, it was through Netflix because Netflix bought the distribution rights from this after it hit the Toronto Film Festival and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's no information on the internet about the budget of this film. I looked high and low, even on Reddit, all that stuff. Nobody
Okay.
knows how much this movie
That's helpful.
was made for. So we'll subvert that, like we usually play that little game show and everything.
Oh
but
man.
but we'll still get to figure it out. So it's box office. It did get a release, but not in the States in theaters. It did get a
Because
release
it's a
like in the
foreign one.
UK and stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that, and it made 1.7 million
Okay.
dollars without a US release. It was then bought by Netflix for, I believe it's 4.2 or 4.7 million dollars for just the distribution rights so they could have it
Wow.
and everything. So since we don't have that game that we usually play,
Oh,
I
no.
think I remember another game that we used to play.
Oh no.
And I've got some different, like Tasha gave us an overview of this film, and
Yes.
and I've got some overviews that are not that. The ones that I got
Oh,
Love
no.
this game.
is an overachieving London police sergeant is transferred to a village where the easygoing officer's object is his fervor for regulations, all while a sting of grisly murders strike the town. I don't think that
What?
sounds like the movie that we watched, but
See, the problem is I don't have any of the actors to go off of for hints.
I don't either. And some kind of
Well,
grisly murders.
okay. I'll get-
Easygoing officers.
Well, if you want a hint, I'll tell you who we're talking about. So it's Rafe Spall, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is in this film that we are hinting at. He's our lead in The Ritual.
I've
And
never seen any of them.
yeah, I think you have, because this movie is Hot Fuzz. Have you ever seen
Oh,
he plays one of
oh,
the
okay.
detectives in Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
Maybe this one will ring a bell. A widow begins to uncover her recently deceased husband's disturbing secrets.
That could be like a million different movies.
Well, didn't you
That's
just
the
say
Night
that?
House.
That's the Night House.
Yeah, there you go. I thought I'd give you girls a softball.
Gosh, that was
Thank
like,
you. Just
yeah.
lob that one to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we got one more. A chronicle of lives of the British aristocracy Crowley family and their servants in the early 20th century.
What the fuck is
Bridgerton.
that? Yeah,
You're super
yes.
close. You were super close.
Okay, don't tell us in Downton Abbey. I don't
There
know.
you go.
Oh
Yep.
my god!
The other
It's
one.
close, yeah.
The character Hutch that we have in this film is played by Robert James Collier, and yeah, he played in Downton Abbey for many years. It
Okay.
showed. So yeah,
Wow. Right, we
So-
didn't do half bad.
yeah, you
Yeah,
girls
that
did
was
it.
better than I expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to our
love
lead,
that game.
Rafe, I believe it's pronounced Rafe.
That's how I pronounced it.
Or it's Rafi from The League. I don't know. But he's been in a lot of different things. He was in The Big Short. He was in The Life of Pi, Prometheus. Then he was in the entire Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Like,
Cornetto trilogy. Is that like the director or writer?
so Cornetto. I just literally was
Never
talking
heard
to
that
some-
before.
Just telling me this is ridiculous.
So the Cornetto trilogy is a trilogy of films that are written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, directed by Edgar Wright. And the thing that ties the movies together is there is an ice cream in it, the Cornetto brand ice cream, that follows through the three movies. Now, what's
Okay.
interesting, though, is that each one of the films correlate to a flavor of ice cream that are one of the three flavors. So in Shaun of the Dead, it's
Oh my
the
God.
strawberry flavor, red for the blood and the gore. The blue one, the blue flavored one, I think it's the wrapper, is for the police. And then the green one, which is The World's End, which is about aliens, little green men. So that's how they line up. And like, it's just a
Wow.
stupid weird thing, but like that is a trilogy. You can buy
Right.
the Cornetto trilogy box set.
yeah, who goes? I'm
That's
gonna write
cool.
3 movies. We're gonna make 3 movies, and the only thing connecting them is ice cream.
Well, what happened?
I
This
love
is
that.
completely off the beaten path because we're talking about The Ritual, but the reason it happened was it was something in Shaun of the Dead. That's just what it was. The Cornetto's ice cream, that's what it was. Well, when they made that movie and they made that reference, the Cornetto company actually got a hold of them and gave them free ice cream. So when they made the second film, Hot Fuzz, is like, hey, let's try and get free ice cream again. So they did it again, and they got that. So they're like, fuck it, let's make this a trilogy, and they tied it in.
And now that's the marketing ploy for it. My
Hell yeah,
gosh.
that's amazing. I love
I
that.
like it. Anyone that is making ice cream top priority, that's my kind of people.
Yeah, I love Edgar Wright. I love Simon Pegg. I love the Cornetto trilogy. It's all wins here.
That's
So
cool.
maybe we'll cover Shaun of the Dead sometime. I literally just watched it again
Yes.
this week. So
That's a good one.
yeah, it's so fucking good. It still holds up really well too. Like I was surprised because like I've watched that movie a million times, but it's been a few years since I watched it, and I was still laughing and just like I love this. And it's still really heartfelt at times. And yeah, it's good stuff. But anyway.
Anyway.
Also, this was based on a book by Adam Neville, who I am not very familiar with, but this is one of his books that he's most known for. He's written many like horror and thriller novels. One's named All the Fiends of Hell, Weird and Other Derelictions, Hasty for the Dark Selected Stories, The Vessel, Lost Girl. So he's done a lot, and there are a lot of audiobooks of his work and everything. So he's been a busy guy, you know.
Cool.
But I'm actually going to probably get the audiobook for this movie because I like, no spoilers or anything, but like I like the way the story is told. I would actually like to see what the novelization is, or not novelization, the actual novel is like, the source material, because I think this is an interesting story, and I would like to see what, instead of, for me, it's a 92-minute film, winner, chicken dinner, but I would like to see what a real blown out wide version of this story actually is.
Yeah.
So this movie's supposed to be, you know, in, is it Sweden where they're at?
Yeah.
So it's actually shot in Romania.
Okay.
A lot of films are
Okay.
shot in Romania because there's a lot of big tax breaks and their labor laws are more lax there, so you can bust shit out
Sweet.
easier
That's
and
nice.
quicker. But so the King's Trail that they're
Yes.
supposed to be on and everything is actually a very barren trail. If you go there, it's more like the Scottish Highlands where there's not a lot of trees.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
if you went to go there to like do the King's Trail, you're not gonna see the Carpathian Mountains is where this was shot at. So
Okay.
like some of the most beautiful like area I've seen
Mm-hmm.
in a movie period, let alone like this the area that this is in when you actually get to see outside of the wood and everything, you get to see what's around and everything. For me, it's not that it rivals Lord of the Rings, but it's that kind of like, man, it's really fucking pretty. Because that's something
It
about Lord of
is.
the Rings that I'm always just like, it's gorgeous, and that's New Zealand. But like, yeah, the Carpathian Mountains, fuck, man. Granted, I don't want to fucking go out in those woods, especially after watching
No,
this film.
Yeah. So
you
they
weren't
mark.
supposed to go out in the woods. That's
Well,
the whole
exactly. That's the
problem.
whole point. Yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, so they marketed this movie to being like a specific location, and then now they shot it in a different location that doesn't match up.
Well,
So
the
people,
reason it's one way is no spoilers, but because of the folklore attached to this
yeah,
matters to be where it's at. But at the
yeah,
same time, if you were to use that, you're not going to be able to do what you do in this film in barren lands. So
okay,
it's one of those
yeah,
things. Like, and also like it's based off of a novel, so maybe the novel like was just kind of like that, like, oh, they're in Sweden, it's fucking woody and everything, and then they
yeah,
go look and they're like, yeah, that doesn't work, but we got this over
okay,
here.
yeah,
But the whole point was that they went off the trail. The trail doesn't
Mhm.
go through the woods.
I think
So,
I don't think it's just the trail. I just think it's the area.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know though. I'm not world traveled of the
Yeah,
King's
me
Trail
neither.
and all this stuff. So, but so this came out in 2017. So let's put our finger up, test the winds of like what it was like in movies for that year.
okay. I'm sure we've covered something in that.
We
We
absolutely
had to
have.
have.
We
Uh,
absolutely have.
I know it's during the Marvel time,
Well,
but
yeah.
but okay, what do we got?
Do you want the movies or just the horror movies?
Both
Okay. Which one first?
horror.
Horror.
Horror films. All right. So the horror films that came out in 2017 is starting from 10, working our way up to 1
All
is
right.
we got The Bye Bye Man, Resident Evil, The Final Chapter,
Okay.
Rings, Jigsaw, Happy Death
Oh,
Day, Alien Covenant, Annabelle
okay.
Creation,
Oh,
Split, which we were
oh,
just
Okay.
yeah,
talking
that's
about,
good. Yeah,
Saw that one.
Get
yeah.
Out,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
which
There we
we
go.
have
That makes
covered on this
sense.
podcast,
Yep.
and the
Yep.
first of the two movies, It,
Oh,
Oh, okay.
which it
So
is
it was number one.
Yes, it was the highest grossing horror film for 2017, bringing in over $327 million.
God,
did
that's
it land?
insanity.
Did it land on the top 10 at all of regular movies?
It did not.
Oh,
I take
Because
that
it's
back. It
probably.
did.
Oh, okay.
I just overlooked it. It's two letters. So
Uh-huh.
I just my eyes scanned over it.
Hush.
So top 10. So, okay. So these are the films that it beat out. It
Okay.
beat out The Fate and the Furious,
oh
Oh,
God! Thank God.
yeah.
Logan,
Oh, really? Okay.
Despicable Me 3,
Oh
Okay.
wow!
Thor Ragnarok.
Okay. It
And
did
then
not beat out though. It beat
and
out
then
those.
Thor Ragnarok
Wow.
made 311 million, where it made 327 million.
Oh, okay.
It was then beat out. So our top 5 is Spider-Man: Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Wonder Woman, Beauty and the Beast, and Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi.
Of course,
That is
it's
a
fucking Star
super
Wars.
IP heavy
Now,
Yeah.
this is
year.
something I found to be very interesting, right? Because I look at the films nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
2017 is not that far back. It's not.
Yeah.
We're still in that same like rolling decade, right?
Yeah.
But like
Right.
every time we hear about stuff, it's like we're talking about billions of dollars and billions of dollars. The
Yeah.
number one film. Now maybe this is domestic because I do have this just kind of screen capped and brought over, so I don't have it scrollable. But it says, yeah, this can't be right. Domestically, Star Wars made over $500 million. So I believe I have some of the numbers over here. It looks like it made over $4 billion. But if we're to take that, then it says, I don't know. I don't know what these numbers are in front of me. But yeah, there you go.
You're doing great, Nick.
I
Yep.
know, right? But there are some notable horror films that came out this year that did not make the list of being big budgeted, blockbuster kind of shit.
Okay.
One of them is Terrified, not Terrifier, Terrified, which is, I believe, Argentinian. It's an amazing horror film, and I think we're going to be covering it in February for Foreign Film February.
Great.
It Comes at Night, which is an A24 horror film. Mother by Darren Aronofsky, starring
That's a
Jennifer
good one.
Lawrence. That is an intense, surreal, crazy
It's
fucking movie.
good.
Your boy put out Gerald's Game.
My boy.
Have you seen that?
That's great. I haven't. I don't think it's on.
It's on
I don't think it's
Netflix.
on. Is it?
It was a
I
Netflix
wonder.
original that he did. What's his name?
Okay.
I can never
Mike
remember.
Flanagan.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan. Ya
My
boy.
boy.
I remember him as ya boy. I don't remember
Yeah.
his name. I'm like, oh, there's
That's
ya
awesome.
boy. Whose boy? Oh, Tasha's boy. And
My
then
boy.
the Endless, which is a sci-fi horror film that I've watched, and it's actually really good. We may watch it eventually sometime on this podcast because I think it's definitely up your girl's alley, and
Cool.
because it's a sci-fi cult horror film.
That's
are
up my alley.
Are you ready for some actual updated box office stuff?
Sure.
Okay. So,
Updated.
yeah, from what your numbers are, this is
Oh,
worldwide.
okay.
2017 is the year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Star Wars is still number one. It made 1.3 billion.
Okay. Star Wars made 1.8. Is that what you said?
3.
1.3.
Oh, so what
Be-
did it make?
That's why I'm at. Beauty and
Oh.
the Beast is number 2 still, but Fate of the Furious is number 3.
Oh, we don't care about that. What did it make?
It actually came in at number 13 for that year
Still over
Huh.
$1 billion?
at $702 million.
That's still insane
That's
for a horror film.
insane. Yes. Coco came in higher than that. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Wonder Woman, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, Wolf
That's-
Warrior 2.
That's
Which is
crazy.
must-
That's probably like an Indian film,
Yeah.
but like it's still crazy that and like we haven't covered it.
Number 11.
It is gonna be a hard film for us to cover. I'm just saying it right now because it's two movies that make one story,
Yeah.
one movie.
I
And they're both
know, and
long
this
movies.
is really
Yeah.
scary too.
Oh, it's super good. Like
No,
I'll
it's
give it.
not super scary. I saw the original. It scared the ever living shit out of me as a kid,
well,
and I
here's
haven't
the
seen
thing.
it
You're-
since.
I was
You're-
really underwhelmed at how scary because that's what I
Okay.
heard. The new one's supposed to be super scary, and what didn't
Yeah.
really hit with
Well,
me.
Okay.
scary is a metric that I never take into account for anybody's stuff ever. Like it's one of those things. I'll take creepy because
Okay.
creepy is more of a mood.
Okay.
Scary though is I always get it wrong. Is it subjective?
Yeah.
Subjective. I always get subjective and objective wrong, and I'm always questioning myself. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right. But it's always subjective. What Tasha finds scary is not what I find scary. So if I'm going to tell her it's scary, that's based on my taste and my history, and
Yeah.
same for anybody. So if someone says this is the scariest movie I've ever seen since blah blah blah, I instantly throw that information out and I go, well, it got them, but I'm not going to take that as a measuring stick.
I mean, Noelle said Smile was the scariest movie she's ever seen, and that movie was terrible.
well, and that's part of the problem with some people's takes on Longlegs right now because it was like it wasn't that it was marketed as, but people like
Were
it took
n-
people were
thinking
saying it's
it
the
was.
scariest movie since Silence of the Lambs or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So then the second wave of people that go in to see it are expecting this thing, and what you're doing is you're basing your interaction with this film based on somebody else that's already seen it and
Yeah.
their tastes instead of taking it for your own. So that's always a thing that I think about when it comes to like hype and all that shit. But when someone's like, it's the scariest thing I've ever seen, I never take that. No different than this is the funniest movie I've ever seen. It's like what you and I find funny are intrinsically
Way
different because of our history. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be funny, but that's a bold statement to make about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I would watch it. It would be a long time. Like we would have to probably break it up into like 2 episodes, but
Well, yeah, we
Um,
would literally do it for an episode, then it part 2 or chapter
Yeah.
2 as the
Yeah.
next one, and that's
Yeah.
what that would have to be. And
Yeah.
maybe we'll do that eventually if people clamor for it, but I don't have it
okay.
like set up because to run 2 movies back to back that are like that is that's a half of a month of content. Like to be
Yeah.
completely honest with our listeners. So like
Yeah.
if y'all really want that, then we'll push it forward. But until then, So
Not until then.
yeah, not until then. So you girls want to get into the nitty gritty of this?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yep.
Well, if this is your first time listening, hello and welcome. This is Pot of the Dead. We are the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. But guess what? You're still here, bitches. So, so what we do at the end of the episode is we give out homework for the next episode, so you can watch it and we can talk about it next week, and you can be part of the film club, just like a book club and all that jazz. We try to mix it up. It's not all the same films, and sometimes they're super gory, sometimes they're more recent, sometimes they're more psychological, sometimes they're from the fucking 70s. Who fucking knows?
Yep. And we just got an apology, by the way, Tasha, before we get started on this. We spoke to Brian today, who made us watch Terrifier 2, and he said he is sorry. He told me in person he was sorry, and I was like, "You're forgiven. You made us watch a shitty ass movie, but you were forgiven."
Really
So,
did,
yeah.
I will also forgive him.
He then also gave us gifts, so that I have one for you for the podcast. So,
yes.
What?
So thank you, Brian.
It was really sweet. Yeah, he's awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So, but yes, we give out homework, and then from this point forward, it's going to be spoiler territory. So if you don't want the ritual ruined for you, go to the last 10 minutes of the episode, and you can get homework for next week, or you can go watch it on Netflix right now. I believe that's the only place you can watch it because they did buy the rights for it.
Okay.
But without any further ado, let's go deep into the woods, search around, maybe find a few runes, and go over the ritual.
Okay, let's do it.
Let me hear that sweet 10 out of 10.
Tasha's so excited for this one.
Here we go. I was thinking it will go in a different direction after seeing the trailer. I thought that it will elaborate more on the guilt part, and some of the parts were just in the imagination of the protagonist. This is written very weird. We just jump right into it.
The last couple days. Yeah, the last time. A few times.
Along with The Witch, Autopsy of Jane Doe, and maybe The Black Coat's Daughter, is safe to say that the last 3 years brought us some really atmospheric supernatural movies in opposition to the jump scares, quote, mainstream flicks.
That is a hell of a good list.
Yeah, it's like
that is a damn good list.
Yep, all of which I don't think I ranked very high.
You did not. You did not like any of them.
You didn't care for Autopsy of Jane Doe?
He did not.
Get the fuck out of here.
I think she gave it a 4 or 5.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
Yeah, I think it was a 4.
She didn't like the witch.
Is this foreshadowing of what you had on this movie? Oh,
I told you it wasn't very memorable.
Oh no!
If that's something to be said. I have one more paragraph.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
The cinematography was nice, the audio effects were effective, and the script was good. The director really knows how to do a build-up without the overuse of sound effects and visuals. It relies heavily, at least in the beginning, it relies heavily, they just put the wrong preposition, relies heavily on your imaginations and fear in order to create the tensionness.
That's a new word.
The teniness. The tension.
The tinnitus.
There were some scenes in which actually what wasn't depicted, but merely implied, that had the most impact in creating a sense of dread and panic.
Nice.
I feel like Nick agrees with a lot of it. Yeah.
I legit agree with everything that person said for the most part,
Yeah, because they cited all the movies he really likes. So I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. You girls saw me bring up your, and I was just like,
there's no way you read this.
Yeah,
No.
this is here you go. This is long enough. There you go. Boom.
Yes. Yeah, those are your style of movies. I mean,
They're
they are right.
They're called good movies. I can't help that I like good movies.
It does do a good job of building up the tension without actually showing you anything for a while. I do agree with that.
But they do. If you pay attention to the background, when they're in that forest, the eyes are there all the time.
But the whole thing isn't there, is what I'm saying. You don't have it's like the ooh, little taster, but you're not getting the whole thing until the end of the movie.
Yeah, but
which I appreciate.
Yeah, you don't want to bust your nut early.
Jesus.
Maybe some people do. No shame. Okay, we ready for this one?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yes.
Let's hear this slander.
I'm hoping this is better than Tasha's was written, so we'll find out.
I hope it's written backwards.
I hope not. Okay,
Oh, man.
1 out of 10. One important aspect of horror movies is identification. You need to be able to identify with and care about at least one person so you can feel something for someone. Otherwise, what do you care about the character portrayed and what might pull them into peril?
I can understand that, in a way. because I
You have to
don't.
have a relationship with
Well,
somebody.
and like kind
Right.
of looking back on it, it's like I don't really connect with any of the characters
Mm-mm,
besides our protagonist in the
mm-mm.
sense
Mm.
of feel like I feel bad for him, like
Yes.
that.
Okay, so there's no character development to speak of in The Ritual. It's just a bunch of ignorant, whiny
Ah,
British lads going to northern Sweden as therapy or whatever. There's not one real human to care about. The impressive nature is commented on and treated like a postcard backdrop to the director David Bruckner. The dialogue is on the surface of things and not convincing at all. The story is stupid to say the least, especially the last 20 minutes. Not even the dreadful event.
what?
Shh.
I
You
love
know,
the story in this.
shh. Okay.
Oh, I'm
Not
sorry.
even shh. I'm in the middle of a paragraph. Not even the dreadful event underpining and impregnating the story is told in a believable way. David Bruckner does not understand how to portray complex feelings in a movie. He does
What?
not shh.
No, I'm
Listen.
having real reactions.
I know. He does not understand how to make you care, which
What?
isn't he just
To make you
reiterating
care.
Yeah, but
the
like,
same thing he just said?
so, hold
I'm
on,
not
hold on,
done
hold
yet,
on.
but you go ahead.
This is the same person that made The Night House.
Yeah, that movie was better than this movie.
Well,
That
but
doesn't mean that this movie has to be as good as The Night
no,
House.
he's saying
Mhm.
that he just flat out does not understand how to do this stuff. It's like obviously he does.
Oh.
Like because I do, I go on. Sorry.
Okay. I want the time I spent back now. Don't do my mistake and watch this drivel. I am not going to watch any more David Bruckner. Okay, there you
So
go.
maybe he hasn't seen The Night House.
Maybe
Well,
not.
also, I'm not saying that David Bruckner is the greatest director of all time. I have seen every one of his films and I didn't realize it. Um, and like he did Hellraiser, the newest Hellraiser that came out a couple years ago, which you have to measure against other Hellraisers because like if you just measure it against horror films, it's like yeah, it's not that great. But when you go like, well, considering everything they've made since the second one, how bad those are, it's not bad. Like,
Okay.
you
All
know,
right.
but like I I don't know. Like I disagree with the fact that it's drivel and that the story sucks. Now,
I don't think it sucks. I think that there's interesting parts to it. But
yeah,
I
I think
do
it's
think yeah, it's just different and I do agree though. You feel sorry for the main character, but you don't have a relationship with him.
but I think that this movie, like this is why I like this movie so much is um before I actually the first this I've seen this film a few times now. This might be the second or third time, but after watching it, I did have to look up like what the monster was
Mhm.
Okay.
because like you could see like the runes and stuff like that and I was like this is clearly some Slavic thing. And then to find out like and you they do say it but I kind of missed it the first time I watched it. You're dealing with like literally one of the sons of Loki in this
Mhm.
movie and like there is a lot of Norse mythology and like all that kind of stuff. And then
Mhm.
doing research into this, it explains why the people are getting killed the way they are and everything.
Oh,
It
okay.
all
Well,
makes
that's good.
sense in their folklore of or religion, however you want to look at it. It
Yeah.
makes sense. All the symbolism makes sense. So it's one of those things. I thought it was just cool in the sense of like how it's like able to look like different things and the way it actually looks as like this elk like thing, all this stuff. And then digging deeper, I was like, this is fucking cool. This is like legitimately cool. Is it the best story or whatever? I'm gonna give it some slides because I think it's just fucking cool. Like it's like how the monster works in this is like the thing that I could compare it to it very similarly is like Bird Box and A Quiet Place in the sense of there's something out there and you don't really get to encounter it until the end of the film, right?
Kind of.
Like
Okay.
isn't that like I'm just I that's just in my head for what we've covered in this
I
podcast
mean, yeah, in the sense of like you keep getting people picked off, but you don't get to actually see the bad guy
until the end.
until the end
And then it's
when
like this
yeah.
creature that you can't really understand or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's
Like
kind of like Smile, though, too,
correct.
or
Yeah, that's an
Barbarian, like any kind of
100
monster movie.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, not every monster, like the
A
thing's
lot
not
of monster movies.
yeah, the thing you see it in all sorts of different iterations throughout and stuff. But like that's just kind of I'm just yeah, Smile's another great example. And like what I'm saying is you take that like template or whatever. And this just like, I can forgive a lot of stuff because the way they portray certain things, I just really fucking like.
I did like how it was always lurking in the background. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of it.
mean,
I like
it
how
was.
I like how it makes its own reality and stuff. Like it's able to
That
fuck.
part didn't make any sense to me.
Well,
Okay.
okay. So we know that Loki is a trickster god.
Right.
So his kids would probably have some sort of like iteration of being able to work with that. And throughout Norse folklore and stuff, like just because they're his kids don't mean they're human, right? Like you got Fenrir, which is like the wolf god, and it's literally this giant wolf. It ends up killing Odin and all this stuff. Like there
Oh,
was a
okay.
time span where like I read a fuck ton of different like Norse mythology. So like and I don't know if this is what stemmed me getting, because it was in the last decade. I don't know if it was this that stemmed me to get into reading more about that stuff to understand it, or if that's why I like it because I'd already read a lot of that stuff and then I was just like, oh, cool, you know. But kind of going back to like why it kills people the way that it does.
Yes.
I do have, where is it? Da-da-da-da-da. There it is. The way the monster hangs its victims in the cultist village mirrors parts of the Assatar mythology about Odin, who originally gained wisdom and knowledge of rune magic by hanging himself from the world tree Yggdrasil by impaling himself on his spear. In the mythology, the spear was given to Odin by Loki, though it is unclear that its intention was a reference to that. But like, it's one of those things that like, if you think about it, it's like, okay, the monster is not killing them to eat them.
Yeah.
Right.
How I look at it, now this is just my take on it after reading that, is like he's putting them up there as like it's not a hatred thing. It's a giving them wisdom. Like forcing them up onto this to expand, like it's like that
Okay.
kind of like beyond thing. Maybe it's dealing with their soul and stuff. But like what we're seeing, what the cultists are seeing is just people getting murdered. But maybe since this is literally like a god or demigod that is being worshipped and is forcing certain people to worship them specifically based on the symbol that gets impaled on them, because that symbol that is impaled on them is a rune that translates to property.
Okay.
So the ones that are impaled upon, it's Odin's, I believe it's Odin's rune that it refers to, like that it's owned by him now. So like it kind of plays into this thing of like gods only have power if they're prayed to and all this stuff. That those are all the kind of things that make me like this.
You know,
Okay.
I know we're not a huge fan of like info dumps on
That
this,
was an info dump.
but goddamn, that would have been nice to know while I watched the movie.
I know, but like at the same time, like
How would
that's
anyone know this?
by going, that doesn't make sense. Why is this? And then you like look into it.
But I want to know it while I'm watching the movie, so it makes
But
sense while I'm
but
watching the
would
movie.
but would you rather like a 5-minute exposition dump that wouldn't fit? Like the girl
As long
does
as it fit.
the girl
But
does
I mean,
explain that like it is one of the Dovahkiin, that you know that, or I think that's the word, that it's one of Loki's children. Like it does that. It gives you that like seed, and then if you want
yeah.
to go down that path, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, enjoy the
But they
splendor.
are giving the people, they are giving them as like, here, we're giving you this so you can
Sacrifice.
kill it. Yeah. So
Well,
like,
what we see as killing, again, this is all speculation from how I'm watching it and stuff. What we see as killing could also be its version of enlightenment. Because, like I said, Odin killed himself by impaling himself on the tree of life to gain wisdom. That is how that mythology works. So, if that's to be brought here, this creature is killing them so they can gain wisdom. What is wisdom? Maybe when you die, you learn everything, and that's you are free of this mortal coil and everything. It's not a hate driven killing as much as it is a freeing killing. I don't know.
But I don't see a god doing that, especially a god like Loki or
You're
Loki
talking
adjacent.
you're talking about gods that do not give a shit about people.
Exactly. But why would they want to give them enlightenment then if they don't care about them?
Because it was sacrificed to them, which is something that is done throughout all this. The symbol that they're put up on is a the cultists are heard chanting the word blot. This is a reference to the Astar ritual practice of offering food, alcoholic beverages, and occasional human sacrifices to gods who favor they sought. So they're hoping for the favor of this god. It's kind of alluded to that their life is extended because the
Yes.
girl that is talking to, and this is stuff that you just kind of pick up on. It doesn't just throw it to your feet. The girl that's talking to him in the house and stuff near the end of the film and explains the Loki stuff, I'm 99% sure that's the wife in the picture when they open up the wallet and see that that's from the 80s. That bitch is not aged a day. So these people are given long life and all this stuff by
When they
getting
have
the
that
favor.
marking on their chest.
Yep, by getting the favor of this god. And to continue this favor of the god, they have to sacrifice humans to it. Now, beyond that, it's all speculation. This is me just kind of going, well, maybe this is what it's doing. Tasha's brain is melting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Tosh on this because I don't know what to take from it either. I'm kind of like, because it doesn't explain a whole lot, and you don't know if this is done maliciously or if it's done just because. And then it does their dreams that they have play a part into why that they are sacrificed versus not being sacrificed. Why are they worthy versus not worthy? Because the one guy actually went through like actual turmoil and all
They
of this
s-
stuff, and none of them really did. So his
Their
was just a
nightmares-
reflection
Their
of his
nightmares
nightmare.
are their fate. Like they are actually seeing their fate because the guy that not pisses his pants, the other guy that's like screaming out his wife's name and everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's seeing like what is going to happen to him. He doesn't know that. He just knows that I had this dream and my wife was there and it was all this stuff. What he's actually seeing is the end of his timeline. And for no reason that I can discern, the one guy is chosen. Is it because he literally is the one that just walks out of the house and then confronts it and it picks him and then the rest like are getting the visions and stuff? That could easily just be
But
it.
he's getting visions too, and his visions
Yeah.
are of shit that's already happened to him, not shit that's going to happen to him in the future.
Correct, but we don't see that stuff until after he's chosen.
No, he has that when he's
Does he?
chosen.
Yeah.
He's coming
That's what
out.
starts.
So
Yeah.
he has
Yes,
it,
yes,
comes
but
out
I'm
of the
saying-
house,
I'm
then
saying-
he gets shot in the chest.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not before. Like it's when they get to the house, that's when all that shit starts happening.
Yeah, they
Yes.
get to the house, he has the dream, walks outside, and then when he wakes up, he looks down and he has the thing on his chest.
Yep, and then you see like the forest recede and everything.
Yes, and then inside is where all the guys are fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
And then the one guy's kneeling and all this other stuff,
Yeah. Kneeling at the like Wicker Man.
which
Yeah,
is
that-
the symbol
is-
of that guy that we just, which is
Yeah.
a symbol of that god.
Yeah, it's specifically
Straight up
the,
that
the
god. Yep.
antlers and everything because
Yeah.
it shows it when it stands upright later in the film and like prays and everything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
literally the
Mhm.
same thing because that's just a monument or an effigy
Gotcha.
of their god
Of
that
the
they.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a specific god that they kind of reference. I think it's called like a flecky, or I am so sorry if you are Norse of any, like if you're from Sweden and all that up there, because I am just going to be butchering your language nonstop, and I apologize.
Please
But-
write in with the phonetic spellings.
Yes, because
We'll fact check it.
I'm so
Do
sorry. I'll do better, I swear.
better. Yeah.
But yeah, like it is kind of pulled from what is it? The Fulthark? I think is how
Okay.
it's pronounced. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop trying to say these words. It's really
Aw,
it's a lot. Like
you're doing your best.
they use symbols that us dumb Americans just don't even have.
Uh,
But yeah, like there's runes that they see coming in and stuff, and like some of those runes on trees and stuff literally just like if you take it to English, what's that word called? Oh my god, my brain is rotting. Translate. There we go. If you translate it, it literally means a state. So it's saying that this is the land of this thing. Like it owns this property. And that's why like when he leaves and he's running and gets out, it just stays in the forest because that's
Yeah.
where it
Mhm.
lives. So it makes sense in that space and everything. And also like the fact that since it's chose him, well, why doesn't it kill him at the end? Because it's forcing him to pray to him. Like I like that. Like any other time, if like the guy just like gets away and it's like it doesn't kill him, why doesn't it kill him? Well, because it's chosen him and now it's forcing him to pray to him because that's what's important to it.
Gotcha.
So like that kind of I really like that, and that's the thing about this film that I like is it's got a nice new spin to me on like I've not seen a lot of horror films that are Norse based,
Yeah.
and not like The Northman, which is like literally Vikings and like kind of like a horror drama action kind revenge film. This is like no, it's now, but like all the Norse mythology, that shit's fucking real and it
Yeah.
fucks with you in these forests. I really like that.
Yeah. I liked the movie. I thought it was interesting. I like the trees and like the actual wilderness and stuff.
I
And
like the trees.
I like the
the
trees.
trees.
I like the house they went into. That was creepy.
Mhm.
And then the guy at the end, our monster or whatever, was kind of cool. I didn't feel
Kinda.
like yeah, I didn't feel like any of this was a big surprise, I guess. Like
Well, you kind of had it ruined for you guys in a way because there was two films and you looked up to see what this film was and literally one of the first images is
Yeah.
it standing in front of the fire. So it like
Yeah.
one of the first pictures is literally the fucking pinnacle of the film and like you're like, "Oh, is it the weird antler thing?" I'm like, "God damn it." Like because I went into this the first time not knowing
Oh.
what I was fucking
Yeah.
watching. It was just like people in the forest. I was like, okay, cool, we're right on. And then you see that at the end, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like it's got human hands that come out and it's like picking up. It's so beyond like what are like I like weird horror. Like that's why I like Lovecraft and all that stuff. So like to see it done this way, I'm just like, yes, please, more of that right here in my veins.
yeah,
I liked it when it was like a shadow of obviously a shadowy figure.
Yeah,
I
you're always
wish
about them shadows.
I wish the face and the hands were just stupid. I'm sorry. I did not like the big creature with human hands.
I liked
That
it.
bothered me.
I liked it because it like kind of it's that valley of like it's kind of it's got human form to it. Like it's uncomfortable.
It's weird. I just didn't like it.
Well, that's it. That's it. It's weird. See, that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's weird. You don't like it. It's weird. I'm like, yes, baby.
But my thing is, it's weird, yet it still has a human quality. I want to see a monster that doesn't have fucking arms.
Well,
It would have
it's-
been better
but it-
if it just had legs.
But it's
like
but if you think about it,
walking like an animal.
it's not a monster. It is a god born of Loki.
Okay,
So
well, I wish it
I'm
was
just I'm just that,
okay, fair
I'm being
point.
I'm being super biased and defensive.
Fair point. It's not a monster. Well, then that just goes into what's considered a monster.
Oh, do we need to do a Gaiden episode on
I think
monsters?
we need to. I think we need to. I think we've talked about this before as
Yeah,
to
we have.
what's
We have
considered
to.
a monster,
yeah,
Yeah.
we have.
what's not.
Well,
But yeah,
if
like
you
I
really
said, I
think
just
about it, man's the real monster.
We're going deep now.
true.
No, that's just a line from Psycho Gorman.
Okay.
Because a kid asked his dad, he's like, "Dad, are monsters real?" He's like, "Well, really, son? Man's the real monster, so I'd have to say yes."
Oh my god.
It's a good movie. Should watch that one too.
Oh, I think that might be my birthday episode, so we will be watching
Nice.
Psycho Gorman this year.
That's nice. Yeah, I liked yeah, I don't like the dynamics between the friends was interesting. Do you guys think that our main guy, because of what he went through with his friend that got killed in front of him in that store, do you think he was at fault? Do you hold any blame like his
No.
friends did towards him?
No,
I don't, and I think the blame from his friends was
kind of.
poorly accomplished.
It's because they
seemed
have to
forced.
point anger somewhere.
Right,
like the-
but it
like-
wasn't done well.
I don't know. Like it works for me. Like could have it been done better? Yes. Could have the side characters been fleshed out a little more besides the one that he gets in the literal physical altercation with and we see till the end and dies. Those two, you get like the main and him, you get the most like character dynamic between the two because you see like the rift between them.
Well, he's also one that gets injured, so then he has more of a build of his storyline versus the other guy who's
Yep.
like I'm the tough guy that takes care of everything and everybody's along for the ride and I'm in
Yep.
charge. And then he gets offed, and his getting offed was really weird in comparison to the other ones. And then
Which one are you? Which one are
the
you talking
guy
about?
that
Hutch?
maybe that's him, yeah, the one where they were staying in the tents and he just got like whisked away in the middle of the night, basically. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one
it
was
fucking
kind of,
pulled. It grabbed his fucking tent, didn't it? And it
yeah,
fucking took
something
Yeah.
him.
like that.
That shit.
Yeah.
That's creepy as fuck. And
Yeah.
I watched this within a week of watching the Blair Witch Project. So I was
Nice.
like, that's what's creepy when you're dealing with tents. You wake up and motherfucker's tent's gone.
Yeah. So that was a different kind of kill, but yeah, the biggest dynamic is the fighting or the tension between our main character and then the guy who hurts his knee. And do I think it was great? I mean, no, like this movie to me, other than like kind of feeling sorry for our main guy, it was just like you're just watching these guys have bad experience of hiking in the woods, and then they just happened upon this creature god thingy with runes. I mean, the gore parts of this were pretty cool, but I mean, there wasn't a lot of it, but what there was some that was neat, but I don't know.
Yeah, so like I I don't know, there's just I it's one of those things. It's Nick, why do you like the thing? I don't know. It
The
just
atmosphere.
yeah, the atmosphere of this, the creature design, the cabin in the woods part, right? Like they're in the cabin and shit's happening. And then they come across another one and they're like, "You want to check it out?" He's like, "Fuck no." Like I just
Yeah.
like that. That's such a realistic like to see that in a movie, you're like, "Great, they're not idiots." Having the
I
friend
mean, they kind of are because they're going through the woods.
yes,
Right
but
there.
well
Let's
the
take a shortcut through the woods. You know, right at that point,
well,
something bad's
yes,
gonna
Yeah.
but at
happen.
the same time, it's one of those things that they're looking at the map and they're like, it should just be a straight line through here and everything. And the dude's knees hurt, so that's why they're trying
Seriously.
to shorten the lane. So there is reason for the shortcut. Like, let's get this guy back home because we all have met that person or have that friend that is just the Debbie Downer, gonna piss and moan nonstop. When they get hurt, it's 10 times worse than it actually is,
Yep.
and that he is that character, and it makes you hate him. But then you
Yep.
actually kind of turn because he's like, no, they gotta fucking get out of here. And like I liked the character arc of him and our main, like that they literally come to fisticuffs in the film and then they're just like, that doesn't matter, we need to get the fuck out of here. They're trying, like it does a lot of like script stuff that I like, like the dude's taken, so the map's fucking gone because, well, the dude's taken, his whole tent is right. They leave the map in the main guy's tent, so they go run, try to find their friend. They can't find their way back to their tent, so they lost their fucking map. And then they don't get the compass until they find the friend, so they get the compass and the knife. And now, like all of that, it's just like, it's like checkbox. This all makes sense. They don't lose the map because someone got mad and just threw it in the river, like in the Blair Witch Project. It's literally like, oh no, this makes sense. They're like, shit, we need to save our friend. Oh fuck, now we're lost from our supplies. So I like all of that stuff works for me.
Yeah. How do you feel about this, Tasha? Because this is kind of reminds me of the other movie we watched, Dog Soldiers. Is that what that one was called?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one was like a wildernessy. How did you think that compared? I mean, obviously we have different types of bad guys in this one versus that one, but how do you feel that one compares to this one? Because it's the only like outdoorsy one we've done recently.
The trees are better in this one.
Okay.
It doesn't look like they're
Yay,
running through a
trees!
Christmas tree farm.
Yeah.
So there's that. I wanted to like this movie. Like I said, I've seen a couple other like folklore horror movies that I've liked.
See,
This one,
I thought you were going to dig this because it's based on folklore, but is it because the folklore washed, it like went over your head? Or
a little,
I'm not using it as an insult. I'm just
I
saying, like,
know.
yeah.
I'll be the first to admit when something goes over my head. We've watched different movies many times.
This one
Most
being
of
one
the
of them.
time.
I think
Yeah.
all three of us watched a different movie this time.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
I
over
just
here.
didn't
I'm
like.
over here, dick in hand, just like, this is amazing. And you guys are like, I don't know what you're talking
It
about.
was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the characters.
Okay.
Like and I think because of that, I didn't get immersed into it. Like people were like, I think one of the reviews was saying like the character development's not there. You don't attach to anyone, so you don't really have a proxy to
Okay.
then watch the movie through or to be rooting for somebody. I didn't care for any of them. I was in it for the folklore, for and then that kind of, yeah, I didn't understand it enough for it to resonate with me. So it was kind of just like seeing seeing the thing
Yeah.
looked really cool off in the distance, and then like that kind of lost its allure when I saw its like weird face arm things.
Here's something that just kind of occurred to me that I'm wondering, okay? So, would this movie affect you more? Would you have a higher what's the word? Would you be more connected if this were females in
No.
the woods? Because this is kind of what I'm getting at. I I think what they're doing, how they're acting, I think that's all very realistic because I'm a dude and like that's how guys for the most part
Okay.
are and stuff like that. Because our problems amongst the three of us and stuff with, I believe it was Bird Box, was you guys had this huge connection because it all made sense to you because you're women and this stuff, like that was a thing. And I was like, that's lost on
True.
me. That is straight
It's
up
true.
lost on me. So when you're talking about like there's no way to connect to these characters and stuff like that, it's like I can understand that to a point, but there are still very like it's definitely like we're bros, man. Let's go out in this forest because our friend died and we're gonna go out and like drink to his memory at this rock and go back and all this stuff.
And women wouldn't do any of
exactly, exactly. So that's why it just kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh, is this because it's like the bro?
It's not
version?
relatable. Yeah, that's
for
true.
for you guys. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna
Maybe?
go out in the middle of somewhere hiking multiple miles
mean,
with my
there's-
bros to
Dude, I
like,
would love to do that
they're
part.
straight up talking at the very beginning of this movie about going to Amsterdam and like getting prostitutes and stuff like that. Like it's a very bro kind of like, where are we
Yeah.
going on vacation? You know, like that kind of thing. So
like
Yeah.
paying respects is one thing, but then coming back and then being like, well, you hurt yourself. Let's walk through the woods. I can't think of me specifically. I'm not doing that because I'm like, there could be cliffs in those woods you don't know about.
well,
There
they
could
had
be
they had a
all
full
kinds of stuff.
topographical map.
I get it, but that
So, like,
doesn't mean
they-
anything half the time because you don't know how
It
that map
surely
was
didn't for them.
made. Yeah, exactly. And then the whole no,
Well,
no.
also though, like they were on the right path, and it's not until Dickwad with the knee injury is like, fuck this, I'm walking down this path, and now they're
Yeah.
following him, and they're all off the path now. And
Yeah.
it's not until they're getting rained on and they have to do this that shit goes sideways. So they technically like were on the right path, but some shit fucked up. Like they just kept getting fucked up because they're like walking through this God's woods, and yeah. So I mean, it makes sense in the fact of we got no cell service out here. We can't fucking get help for our friend. They're obviously not gonna chopper someone in for a twisted knee. So we gotta
Right.
get this guy home because I don't want to fucking listen to him anymore. Like that is literally what is going on. So to me it makes sense. It is a reasonable thing of like, do you really want to listen to this motherfucker for, twice the mileage? Let's just fucking go through here. God damn. Like I've met those people. Well, there could be hillbillies in that wood. It's got to be better than fucking listening to this guy talk all goddamn day. Like it literally is that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't really resonate with me, I guess.
No, me either.
We have met different people.
Yeah.
Man.
But like, so what would you girls consider your high points? We'll go high points first. What is something from this film that you would leave and be like, I think it did this well, I liked this?
The
I liked
woods.
the cabin part.
You did?
Yeah. That's
Like-
when I was like, "Ooh, this movie's getting interesting."
Yeah.
And then it was.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
you
it
Steph,
stopped.
what do you got? High
Yeah,
points.
The woods. The woods are the high points. I mean, including the cabin, but I mean, it was. But I wouldn't say it was like high. I mean, I would just say that's the high point, but I wouldn't say it was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. It was like, okay. And I don't think there was any lows. So.
I won't go too long because I've already done a lot of that and stuff. But like mine is like the monster and the folklore. I really like
Okay.
that. I really like that in this movie because for me it feels very original. All right, what are your low points?
It's not a monster. We just
Oh, it's God. It's a God. I'm
established
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Nick.
Hey, shut the fuck
Well,
up.
technically,
God,
it's like
keep your
technically it's
story
like a
straight.
technically it's a demigod. Right?
You can demi kiss my ass.
How is it but how do we know
I don't
it's
know.
a demigod?
I don't
Well,
Isn't
know.
it-
that's true, but it wasn't. Didn't say it was. It was said it was the son of Loki. It didn't say that it was born to another god. So therefore,
Right.
we don't know. It could just been
Oh my
born in
God.
the woods
You're
and to a human. Shut the fuck up. And it's a demigod living in the woods because its mom was there, and that's where Loki bore it. I don't know anything.
Or
I'm
it could
just-
be from another god, a goddess. And
I
then
think
it's
Loki
an
fucked an
actual
elk.
God.
Loki
That's
fucked
true.
an elk, and that's what we got.
It might be. It kind of looks like that. It's got
Yeah.
some like horns and stuff. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know enough
And the-
about
And the first
Norse
animal
mythology.
the first animal that we see split and hung is an elk.
Yeah.
What's the name of this
I
god?
don't fucking know. We're not gonna go down that road. We're
I
getting.
am.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes, we are. What the fuck is the name of this god?
I-
Okay,
I
the
don't know.
god in what's the name of the movie again?
Oh my god, the ritual.
Are you with us, Steph?
I
You know what
can't.
you're doing?
I am.
We have lost
terrible.
all of our listeners. Everyone has shut up the podcast. They're just like,
What are we
She
doing
doesn't
today?"
even know what movie they're watching. Oh man, but yeah,
My
like,
low point was probably the just listening to the annoying guy with his knees sprained,
okay.
where he's like
I thought
laying
you were
on
gonna
the
say
rock,
the annoying
like,
part
"Ugh."
was them talking. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Just the dialogue. That's the part.
Yeah, the
Steph
low po-
likes the trees. I
the
don't
low-
like the dialogue.
There you go.
The low point was the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Who is Modor, whatever. That's who our bad guy is in
Oh,
the
okay.
ritual. Is a North deity creature. So it says it's a creature. So apparently it's a bastard offspring of the Norse god Loki and is one of Jonar, a race of troll giant-like gods that served as the rivals of gods in Asgard and Norse mythology.
There you go.
oh, so it's a rival of.
The Norse gods.
Say
It's
that
a
again?
troll giant like god. That's why it looks
That-
like it looks.
Yeah, because
that
like the
rivals the gods of Asgard.
Correct.
because like the frost giants and stuff, those are Loki's children and stuff like that too. Like
Oh.
it's really weird. Like Loki basically
Got
bore
around.
like most of the evil stuff,
So
quote unquote evil, because like even their good guys are evil. Like everything Norse stuff like has like Odin is like a cool guy for certain things, and then he's fucking the worst thing ever for other things. Like it's
He's
he,
a cool guy.
you want to hang out with Odin, you know. Hung
Oh my
himself on a tree, had his eye
Yeah.
ripped out by a raven so he could fucking see the future and all. You want some of that,
Oh.
Jazz? Yeah.
I have
Is
heard
that-
that story. Okay.
is that what George R. R. Martin stole in order for his show?
Probably.
The
I mean,
One-Eyed Raven?
stole
From Norse
literally
mythology?
prehistory stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stole
Yeah. That's where the One-Eyed Raven came from, probably. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so this is what it explains. As stated, Modar of whatever Jatu, I can't pronounce it.
it.
who is-
Jotun. If that's pronounced
Oh
Jotun.
yeah, Jotun, like Jotun. Huh? Okay, yes,
Yep.
you're right. Who
That's what I'm
sends-
saying. Is like you look at
It's
it.
hard.
It
It
that's
doesn't
not,
look like that word. Yeah, you're right. So it stated that ancient times stalked travelers who enters his home at the forest and chose who suffered from emotional pain and offered them salvation.
There you
So
go.
that's why the guy got offered salvation and eternal life in exchange for worshiping him, and that is why they were converted. And then he also granted you cult immortality in exchange for sacrifices.
There you go.
Wow.
You are welcome.
Nick. You were spot on.
I fucking told you. I fucking told you.
Let's see. Can I get.
But it's the bastard
Yes.
offspring with a troll giant. That's
Hell
why
yeah.
like, what is going on?
Loki was drunk.
Balloons.
She was the last one in the bar. It's
Yep.
like you'll do.
Trolls need love too.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, Nick.
So does that? Okay, obviously it's probably not, but like, does that at least make the thing cooler to you, Tasha?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And if it would have.
But
Like
do
I
you-
said, I wanted to watch I wanted to like this, but I
See, and
didn't.
And
I
that's the
didn't
thing.
care for any of the
If
characters.
it literally explained that in the movie, you would have liked it more, but I would have hated it more.
Well,
You know, that's all I'm
I
saying.
don't care.
That's all I'm saying. It's like I don't think that there's a way for them to make this movie that we both like it the same way.
Couldn't they have done the thing that they did in the Midsummer where they just showed it on walls and like drawings and then you could just allude to it based on that?
They
And it
kind
could
of
have been on the inside of the cabin and like there was like all these drawings. I know the runes are drawings, but I'm saying like specifically like their own
gets-
storyline on the wall.
well, I mean, yes and no. Like, okay, so if we're going to compare it to Midsummer, right? Midsummer's an
comparing
hour
it.
longer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like he goes
Like
into this-
seriously, like you're talking about
Just
like
throwing that out there.
yeah, it's an hour longer. Could
But
Mid-
I
could Mid-
understood
I understand.
everything that happened.
if they made this movie an hour longer, right? Just to explain stuff, would it be worth it?
No, but Midsummer was also about 15 minutes too long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, so like, I think if, because he'd went in that cabin how many times with all those people, if they had had something like that you could have picked up on visually, other than just random runes drawn on fucking shit, and then she telling
That I
you bits and
missed.
pieces, then you could have drawn your own conclusion a little bit better, I think. And because you have the visualization other than just random runes drawn on trees, and then people just literally being like, it's the son of Loki, but that's about it. And then we sacrifice people, and then you drew your conclusion, which I knew, like I could tell by the guy's chest matched the old lady's
Yeah.
chest when we first started, when she first came in. So I was like, they're connected somehow. This is him like anointing them.
Which is something they don't that they explain in the novel and you can hear in the movie, but you don't see in the movie, is the witch that you see, the
Yeah,
old lady.
the old lady.
She doesn't have legs, she has hooves.
Oh,
Oh,
I
So
didn't notice that.
she herself is not fully human.
So she's something else too.
Yeah, so she's like like the best way, she's like a priest of the deity.
oh,
Kind of
I
thing.
didn't
That's
notice
cool.
that. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
these
I
are
do
these are
think.
things that like they allude they go into more detail in the book. That's why I want to read the book.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like if you watch most movies based off of books, it bodes well to read the book first
Mhm.
because then you pick up on little things like that.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I wonder how much was missed where you're just like, it just doesn't get any
Well,
deeper because it's an hour and a half movie.
well,
But
Tasha,
I
if
think
you
I would
want,
have liked it if it was a longer movie
well,
and
the
it delves more
audiobooks,
into that.
the audiobook's 11 and a half hours. So if you want a longer version, there you go.
Yeah. I want to learn more about the
Yeah.
Norse stuff because yeah, I missed out on so many things.
Yeah. I mean, but that kind of goes with your territory in the sense of you're the inattentive viewer. And if it's not like literally, I don't,
Smacked right in my face.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you for saying it, because me saying it would sound like shit. You know, like if it's not handed to you on a silver platter. But
I
like,
mean, it kind of has to be.
it's one of those things where different strokes for different folks. You know, like it just is what it is. I just thought like because of your love of like Midsummer and stuff like that, being like, oh, this is another folk horror film. Not a lot of face smashing, so maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, there's not at all.
You get some
It was really-
evisceration.
It was
Yeah.
really the group of people. I
Yeah.
just didn't. I was checked out because I did not care about any of them.
That's
I
fair.
agree.
That's fair.
Most of them are kind of obnoxious, so like you
Mhm.
also didn't get that part. Like I didn't feel for anybody. I wasn't like, man, I hope that guy survives. I actually realistically, when we were watching this, I just thought everybody was gonna die. And I was like, that's okay.
It makes sense that our main guy doesn't die because of the whole like what's happening or
Yeah.
whatever. But I would have loved this movie to be a downer, but it wouldn't have made sense to be a downer.
True.
Realistically.
Right.
True.
So
I mean, yeah, it's like a lot of movies where it's like you think it might go bad, but it usually doesn't. And
This
there's
is one
usually
of-
one survivor.
this is one of the few films that I'm okay with the quote unquote happy ending.
It's not really a happy ending though. It's
I
like,
mean, he
it's
survives.
Like,
Like,
he does. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'm looking at you, The Mist. Not going to say anything else. It's like, oh yeah, downer ending. Fuck yeah, don't make it happy, make it sad. This, it's like, if it were a downer ending and everything, I don't think I'd like it as much because it would go against the rules that they kind of made.
Yeah. Like if you knew the storyline like you did, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, but you'd be like, yeah, cool. And I'd be like, it doesn't make sense. You're like, it doesn't have to make sense.
That's true.
Right.
That is very true.
It just has to make fun.
Exactly. It
I
has
mean-
to be entertaining.
Yeah, I think this is like we've had a string of movies where all of us have watched completely different versions. Smile, The Babadook.
Oh God, the
definite-
Babadook.
That was the hard. That was
It's
the
about
most hardcore
depression?
one.
Question mark.
I thought it was just about a guy in a book. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what did we watch last?
Tasha's
what was
over here
last
like-
week's about?
I don't want
Tasha's,
to talk about last
Oh,
week.
yeah,
Tasha's-
Immaculate.
Yeah. Tasha's over here like, I like really heady horror films. And it's like, all right, we'll give you some heady stuff. It's like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, no, I got immaculate. I just missed a really important like social narrative in modern times component
Yeah.
of it. I got everything else. The Babadook, yeah, was just
That was way over. I just
was
thought it was
fucking
this,
funny.
this thing in the house that was torturing them. We're
Right,
like,
it was
yes,
like, this is
grief.
stupid.
It's grief.
Oh, Guy with the top hat was fucking dumb.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my speed of, I guess, horror
That makes
movie.
sense. Yeah,
That's fair.
it makes
It's
sense.
fair.
Yeah, that is very
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
it is what it
I'm
is.
starting to realize also, I hate to say it, I feel like movies made in the UK aren't my jam.
Oh, okay.
Gasp.
Yeah,
know.
those are my jams. So
Babadook,
yeah.
this,
Oh yeah, that's
like
true.
Babadook was Australian.
Australian. Okay.
You just don't like English speakers from outside the United States.
Ouch! No.
You like
That's not what
Talk to
I'm
Me?
saying.
You like Talk to
the-
Me,
I'm
right?
saying. I did like Talk to Me. Okay.
The other one we watched was that was British, was the one wolf one I was
Dog
just talking
Soldiers?
about.
Dog Soldiers. And I
Soldiers.
understand that. I understand. That's not the greatest film ever made.
It's not.
I never say that any film is the
Nowhere
greatest.
near.
Nowhere near. Taj is like, fucking, don't you
No.
dare even put those words in your
No.
mouth.
No, Nick was talking to me the other day about how we're going to be doing more foreign films, and I was like,
In
That's-
February.
in February, yeah. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I would love for if you could give us more movies like Train to Busan. And he was like, see, and
Yeah.
you didn't even think you were gonna like that. And I was like, yeah, you're right, but I'm always nervous about this, so we'll see.
Yeah, you
It
never
was
know.
a beautiful
know.
movie.
I
It was a
can't
beautiful
pick
movie.
a movie like this is a prime example. I can't pick a film that I know that you girls are gonna like that you haven't seen. So I just
That's
base it off of like, oh, they kind of like this stuff, they kind of like that stuff. Then I bring The Ritual, and Tasha's like, fucking dog shit.
Same with the Babadook. You were like,
I
oh,
don't
you, like, you
even
want this, and this?
That one still just blows
But-
my fucking
But
mind.
none of us had seen that, so we didn't even know.
Yeah, but I knew like it was in the same wheelhouse as other films that Tasha really
Yeah.
liked. So it is what it is. You
It's
know.
weird. I don't even understand it.
No, I mean, I've just watched a bajillion movies, so I definitely have like I know my focuses, so I'm like, oh, I can tell that I'm probably gonna dig this,
Mhm.
you know.
And I'm
you're-
like specific. I don't really feel like I have a vein that
you
I
need
go
to
in. It's-
open. You need to open up your umbrella.
but I feel like I do. Like I like a wide range, like Hereditary, Midsummer. If we're doing that, Smile, Talk to Me. Those are all pretty different. Categories.
Three of those are A24 films.
All right,
Can
well,
we agree though? Most of us
I have a
like
type.
A24 films. We
Yeah.
all kind of have a type. I mean, realistically.
I mean, I
So-
like
but
them,
like
but
A24 isn't necessarily a type because then they've made things like Civil War and
yeah, but I'm talking
other-
about A24's horror films.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
You know, but they also made The Witch, which you didn't
She
necessarily
didn't
care about.
for. Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
then-
slow.
It is,
But-
but I love
but-
that movie.
all right.
Anyway,
You girls want to get into your reviews?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, I gotta just open up my little thing. I keep track of all our reviews in my phone. So
Cool.
yeah.
You'll have to send us an updated list on this because, yeah. So okay, I'll just get mine out of the way. So what
Okay,
do you
we
what do
gotta-
you girls think I'm going to give this?
you're giving it a 7.5.
Hold on. The Ritual. See, I remembered it this time. Okay.
Good
Oh, good
job.
job. You know what
Yay.
we're
So
talking
proud-
about.
I
You're
did.
so
I
good.
know,
Gold
I
star.
know.
You're gonna
Gold
get
star, everybody.
balloons.
Yay. I think you're gonna give this a 7.
7. I am giving it a 7.5.
Okay.
Gross.
Like for all the things I said, like it's for me, and I could be wrong. I have not seen every horror film. I've seen a lot of them though. It's got an original take on the creature in the woods. I've not seen like them drag Norse mythology into the folklore. I like that. It's fresh to me. And I've
Well-
seen this a couple times, and I would highly suggest people to watch this. It's like it's an hour and a half in and out. It's not going to be overly bloody for some people and everything.
true.
I
It's not.
can understand, you know, like not liking the characters or whatever, but that's something that that's the risk that you take with any movie. Like, so I can't say for me because that doesn't bother me, so I can't use that. Now you guys might be like, nah, I wouldn't suggest it because you don't like X, Y, and Z. But for me, yeah, like it's just like, hey, you want to see a cool like forest kind of culty kind of movie? Yeah, that sounds cool. All right, check this out. That's all I would say. I wouldn't tell them anything. And like I said, you guys kind of had it ruined because when you looked it up, it literally was just like, here's the monster, which
Yeah.
I think it's more effective if you don't know what the fuck you're
True.
dealing with until you see it literally in the glow of the burning village. It's so fucking cool. But yeah, 7.5.
Okay. That's good.
Dope as fuck.
Okay, Tasha, what do you got for us?
God damn
What,
it.
what do you think?
Tasha's giving it a goddamn 3.
No, she's not. I think she's gonna give it. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Tasha's gonna give this either a 4.5 or a 5. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
5 because I think she'll be willing to watch it again because she may have missed stuff in this way she could pick up on things differently, but I don't think she necessarily liked it. So that's why I'm kind of like maybe a 4.5, but I could be wrong.
Tasha
So
hates everything I like.
what what do you got
And Nick
for
hates
us?
everything I like. So
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
balance
Okay.
out. I'm giving it a 3.5.
God
Oh
damn
my
it!
god. Man, that's rougher than I thought. Normally I'm pretty good at this one.
So
Woo! Okay. That was a
there's
rough
that.
one. Okay. That was hot.
But I will say, because we always give our scores, I don't base my score based on like our conversation.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's your initial viewing, what you take away from it.
Okay,
That's what
yeah.
you score it.
So
Yeah.
with our discussion as a little asterisk next to it, I might be willing to watch it again now that I know, once again, this is like a common thread with me.
Yeah, that's
Now that I know what's going on,
fair. Do you need?
I might watch it again.
Do you need like me to watch the movie, tell you what the movie is before you watch it, so then you can watch it appropriately? Or...
I mean,
No.
sometimes it's like going into a movie completely blind. It does a disservice. I have that same thing with books sometimes. Like I need a slight synopsis so I know where it's going to go. Because if I don't know anything about it, then it's just like this. I kind of get checked out and I don't take it all in because I don't know when and I don't necessarily want to step by step.
Yeah.
But like just having a little Cliff Notes version alongside of me. I've had to do that before just to be like, what the
when
fuck
you watched
is happening?
Mandy.
Yeah.
You literally said that you had like a fucking walkthrough, like
Yeah.
it was a video game. Okay, so what the fuck is happening in this scene?
That
And I-
movie is really weird though, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And it made me appreciate it so much more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway, 3.5.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's a
That's
better
fair.
rating than Terrifier. So that
Yeah.
was Terrifier 2. You rated that higher. You rated this higher than Dog Soldiers 2. I'm looking at our ratings right now.
Oh my
What-
god, Dog Soldiers got less than this. Damn.
She rated it.
Well,
high-
don't say anything. People can go back and listen to them.
Okay.
We don't want to ruin it. God damn.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, Steph is going to give this movie a 5.5.
Steph is going to give this movie a 4.5.
Ooh.
Nick's actually right. I'm gonna
God.
give this a 5.5. I can't believe he actually won this one. He never wins. So
Hey.
Tasha gets it almost every time. So
Hey.
anyway, yeah, 5.5. You were talking about how you thought it was cool that it was Norse and all this stuff. I thought the movie was okay. It was passable. I would watch it again, but because we had to wait to film or whatever we're doing, record,
schedules.
however, schedules and everything else. This movie was exceptionally forgettable. I
Yes.
could not pull a whole lot from this until we're talking about it, and then I'm like digging in my brain for visuals. So on that merit alone, there's no way. Like it's lucky it got what it did, only because I thought it was pretty. It was a pretty movie, even though I didn't. The acting wasn't bad. It's just not. I didn't have a lot of feelings towards it. But the one thing I do want to comment about this is that the idea of like, well, it's a Norse thing and it's in the woods and all this. And the author didn't create any of that. The author literally plucked something out of Norse mythology and said, hey, let's add some dudes into the woods of something that already exists
Yeah.
and let's just create this. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but
I
like
didn't
the
say
idea
that he created it. I
no,
don't
I
think
know.
anybody said that.
I know that.
okay,
But the
okay.
idea of like originality piece, it's not original because it already existed, and he's just plucking the entire backstory of this character out of Norse mythology and being like, "Hey, let's throw some dudes in who've had some bullshit, and let's just throw them into this thing." That has already been created. Now, I'm sure it's a great because it was made into a movie. I'm sure it's got a great storyline and everything in the book, in comparison. But it doesn't feel as like creative to me personally because it's literally plucked out of history and then just added a fictionalized version to it. Yes.
So what's your take on Constantine?
The same thing. It's an entertaining movie, but I don't look at it as being the most creative movie. It doesn't
See,
mean it's
I
not
think it is.
enjoyable.
I don't see a problem with taking stuff from history and putting it in your blender and going like, okay,
I don't either. I'm just saying on the sense of it being original.
I must be just reading what you're saying wrong because
Yeah.
okay.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie. I don't think it's wrong that you pluck things out of history. People do it all the time. I mean, we've watched Immaculate. That was like literally taking an entire book of fucking Catholic stuff and throwing it into a movie.
Yeah.
But
the idea of like this is like an original tale or this is this. It's not though. And so like to me, after reading about
It-
that docks it points for me
See,
because
like,
I'm kind of like, you didn't create any of this folklore and you're literally adapting it like to kind of a T in order to build a storyline, which is fine. I'm not saying it's not enjoyable.
I
I'm just
don't.
saying I don't give it as much credit because of
That's fair.
that.
That's fair. I don't know how I stand on that. Like the idea of like this is a cool thing, like a cool religious thing through history. I
Yeah.
want to use that as the
The
antagonist.
building blocks. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I guess I would have a problem with it if it were okay. Here's a prime example. I have a problem with it when they do it and they don't use the name and stuff. I'm looking at you, The Craft, where
Oh,
they're
when they don't use a real name of for
correct,
the,
but they're
the
taking
yeah,
all the stuff. This one, they're
Yeah.
just flat out like it is this.
is this yeah.
Like, and that just goes to my whole thing of like, way more okay with someone being like, yeah, no, I was clearly influenced by this, and yeah, instead of being like,
I mean, we talked about that before.
yes,
Yeah.
So, I think that's my kind of thing, but
Yeah.
everyone's opinions are their own, and they can think
Yeah,
what they
and
want.
I don't think that that makes this movie a bad movie. I just
No.
don't have as much of appreciation for it because of that. But yeah, I think it's a 5.5. I think that if people like this kind of like you like Norse mythology, you like the woods, you are probably a man. You'd probably like this movie.
Well, that's the thing. I think this movie works more, and this is just me. I think this movie works more if you don't know anything about Norse mythology stuff, in the sense of like if you. Well, this is what I'm saying, because it ruins the surprise of the
Ye-
creature. So like it's a.
Yeah, I guess in that sense.
I
But
don't
then
know.
you also
It's
don't
hard.
know anything about it, so you have to research it afterwards.
Right.
Like me and Tasha have just learned. Like I knew
So do-
what it was as we were going along, but I have more of an understanding now going into it. So I'd watch it again and be able to have a different viewpoint of seeing
Yeah.
it, having seen it again.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
But what's that give us, Tasha, for our total final score?
We've rated The Ritual 55%.
Yes.
oh, it's passing.
It's not for every.
Just by the
It's
skin
not
of
for.
its teeth.
It's not for everybody, but you're more than likely gonna like it. I think that more people will watch the. And here's a prime reason, honestly. Okay.
Because it's on Netflix.
Well, not that.
Mhm.
It's an hour and a half.
That's true.
That is a
It's
huge
easy.
thing. Like if this were a 2-hour movie or longer, I'd be just knocking the fuck out of it. But for being an hour and a half movie that gets from point A to point B, I'm all for it here.
Yeah, it's not slow really. I think the pacing's done well.
Mhm.
I don't think the acting's bad. Like I don't think there's any it's all about likability to me as
Correct.
much as instead of it just
It-
being about
100%. I think for you girls, it's just because you don't like the characters. Like
Yeah, it's just kind of-
realistically,
it's like,
if the
meh.
characters were more likable, if it was Ryan Reynolds, Jack Black, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and Kevin Hart running through the forest,
Is this
and,
Jumanji?
and then
kind of, yeah.
and then Will Ferrell comes flying out of the forest and gets them and stuff. Like I think you guys would like this movie more.
Will Ferrell as a Norse god.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently.
It's just
Like
him
it.
from Zoolander, just flying out.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Oh, that's a great movie.
Hit me up, Hollywood. I got you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would watch that movie. I probably wouldn't like it very much, but I would watch
no,
it.
you would love it.
No,
Oh
probably
man,
not. Kevin Hart.
Start
no.
the script.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to hit all the points.
I know.
So, all right. So next week, it's homework time,
Yay.
and I really hope that this is a movie that Tasha can wrap her head around, and maybe it doesn't blow over and stuff. Right?
I think she'll be fine with this one.
I really hope
Yeah.
so. Next week we're watching Seven by
Okay.
David Fincher,
Okay.
starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey. It's a '90s
And
classic.
a box.
And a box, and Gwyneth
Right.
Paltrow.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys seen this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Ages ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe sort of. I don't remember a whole lot about it, so I know it exists.
I watched it when I was far too young with you and mom at some point.
I watched it far too young at Brendan's house, and I remember it basically fucked me up for life.
That's nice.
Great.
So, yeah. Yep.
Let's do it again.
Absolutely. For Pot of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
And I am Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.